Following the tragic news, Thompson's wife, Paulette, had revealed he had been receiving threats. There had been some threats, she told NBC News. Basically, I don't know, a lack of coverage. I don't know the details. I just know that he said some people had been threatening him, but lack of coverage. Lack of coverage. This is definitely sounding like it kind of bolsters this John Q situation. And the reason I ended up covering this, though, wasn't because, oh, I thought this might be a John Q situation. And look at these articles. I may be right. I'm so smart. No, that's not it. What it was the conversation at the Wind Down Wednesday, where my friend that is employed there was still receiving phone calls and text messages from both his colleagues and people that he supervises. They were / are almost convinced that the attacker either had access to someone within the company, or if someone within the company was just straight up helping. But let's switch over to actually the part of the live stream that is on the sad part and not so much the shady anymore. And to start off, the first sad story actually is about, I'm pretty sure almost all of you know about it, is the UnitedHealthcare CEO's horrific attack yesterday in Manhattan while he was about to go to a conference at the Hilton, an investor conference to be more specific. And a lot of us got alerts on our phones, whether it was videos or Facebook or TikTok, however it is we get stuff, when we got notified of this. Well, I actually heard about it earlier in the day before I started getting notifications on my phone about it. I actually got a text regarding it because one of my close friends is actually an executive there. And ironically, I was supposed to be meeting with him last night for a Wind Down Wednesday. And because I'm so terrible at keeping in contact with people and meeting up with people, this was something I was like, okay, I'm down for Wind Down Wednesday this week. But this was before any of this stuff had happened. So I'm going to share with you guys the text message I got earlier yesterday regarding this situation. And then we're going to go into the actual, some of the articles and videos that I'm sure some of us have seen. But I just want to put a personal aspect and a personal spin on this from someone that actually worked for the company, that was an executive that actually met and had some dealings with Mr. Thompson. So let me share this right quick, and then I'll do a horrible job reading my own text messages, I'm sure. What was it? Okay, news of him. All right, and okay. Oh, can I pause it? Okay, yeah, I can pause it. All right, so this is what I got yesterday. This is what I received yesterday. I'm just working along, and then I've got, this is from my friend. Everybody, oh my God, I hope I blurred everybody out correctly. Anyway, it says, if I ever needed a wind down, if I ever needed to wind down, today has been insane. Then, of course, I see this link, UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, F words. We know what happened. And my question is, is that your company? Because I couldn't remember if that's the way it worked for or not. And, and he said, yes. And I clicked so I clicked the link because I was working, but I was like, let me click the link right quick. And I clicked it and, send over the sad face, and friend replies, murdered just before our investor conference this morning in the heart of Manhattan. Appears to be a targeted hit. And I let him know I read that they said it appeared to be targeted. Then my question was, think it was a John Q situation, which this was funny, referencing John Q, because I forget this movie is so old, and I'm so old that some people don't know what that is. Anyway, John Q was a movie with Denzel Washington where he had a sick son, but I think whatever procedure he needed wasn't covered by insurance. So John Q, Denzel's character, goes on a rampage at the hospital because of that. So that's why my question was, think it was a John Q situation. He's like, dude, there's so many possibilities, but he was a nice guy. I feel bad for his wife and 2 boys. And I was like, that's effed. And I really meant that it was effed, because I thought about, what if this was my CEO? My CEO is very hands-on. My CEO, he sends out mass text messages every time things like this happen. Like, I'm pretty sure we're probably going to get one about this tomorrow. Every time something happens, he's very involved. But anyway, I was thinking that if this happened, I would be probably torn. And this is the CEO of my company. And the fact, like he said, that he was looking at it on the level of his wife and his boys. And so then probably about an hour or so went by, and he texted again. He texted me another article, and he said, you could be right about the John Q thing, or it could be an easy cover. So we'll get to that article in a little bit. He's old enough to know what John Q is. And so then later on, he's like, the internet is heartless, already leaked footage of him getting shot. And of course, I was like, of course. I'm like, news outlets got to hurry up and get to the beat. Content creators, I'm like, of course, you know, this is what's going to happen. And so this was how I was exposed to this story before any videos, and really before any news footage. And the only reason I still ended up covering this tonight is because of discussion that actually came up at the Wind Down Wednesday. So the whole aspect that I was looking on is, you see, my initial question was this a John Q situation? I was wrapped up on motive. Like, why would somebody do something like this? And the only thing that I could think of was either some kind of love triangle, because the quote unquote hit seemed very personal. So the only 2 things I could think of was a love triangle, or somebody blaming someone for a loved one's, losing a loved one over some coverage or something like that. And so anyway, one of the I wanted to highlight something that came up. So a lot of you guys know the story and know what happened. The assailant was waiting on Mr. Thompson to get ready to go to the Hilton where the investor conference was. But one of the things I found interesting was that the shell casings that were left behind, it said that there were the words delay and depose were found on live rounds and shell casings tied to the shooter. Law enforcement told CNN on Thursday, responding to an earlier ABC report, that 3 words were found. Depose was written on the shell casing from a round that was fired at the victim. Delay was written on a live round that was ejected when the shooter appeared to be clearing the jam. There was a jam when he fired at one point. The police are exploring whether the words found indicate a motive, pointing to the popular phrase in the insurance industry: delay, deny, and defend. Going to share another article right quick. Another article right quick. Again with motive. I think this one was an interview with the wife. Yes, wife. Make sure you guys can see that. Just make it big. You don't need to see me. Don't need Tiffany anymore either. All right. Wife of not here anymore, UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson says husband was being threatened before horror in New York City shooting. The wife of UnitedHealthcare CEO and police sources have claimed he was being threatened before he was fatally attacked. We'll just leave it at that. CEO Brian Thompson, 50, my age, was attacked to not being here by a masked man in Midtown Manhattan on Wednesday morning. Okay. All right. Let's get down here. Here we go. Okay, see, following the tragic news, Thompson's wife, Paulette, had revealed he had been receiving threats. There had been some threats, she told NBC News. Basically, I don't know, a lack of coverage. I don't know the details. I just know that he said some people had been threatening him, but lack of coverage. Lack of coverage. This is definitely sounding like it kind of bolsters this John Q situation. And the reason I ended up covering this, though, wasn't because, oh, I thought this might be a John Q situation. And look at these articles. I may be right. I'm so smart. No, that's not it. What it was the conversation at the Wind Down Wednesday, where my friend that is employed there was still receiving phone calls and text messages from both his colleagues and people that he supervises that are trying to find out what resources they need to get to to try to help cope and things of that nature. And they started to have the discussion about wondering if there was inside assistance. And I was like, what are y'all talking about? And what was brought up was like, in many cases, especially large corporations, only a handful of people know the itinerary of the CEO, where they're going to be, when they're going to be there, et cetera, et cetera. And so they were like the details of how this guy was lying in wait at the right time, in between the hotel where Mr. Thompson was staying and the hotel where the actual event was. They were / are almost convinced that the attacker either had access to someone within the company, or if someone within the company was just straight up helping. And I just thought that I never even had a notion that this could be, quote unquote, an inside job or inside assistant. And the fact that they were bringing that up last night, it just gave me something else to think about. Going on to the final sad story for tonight. Oh, and the other reason though I was covering this is because I wanted to ask a question, and it's not really a question I know that we're going to come up to an answer with, but if this is a John Q situation, is this just something that's going to be par for the course, or something that we just have to get, quote unquote, used to dealing with our structure of privatized medicine and privatized healthcare? And this is by no means a push for a socialized healthcare or something like Canada or whatever, whatnot. I'm just asking, the question is, if this is something that may become more and more problematic as we go forward, because let's be real, this guy only did his job. Mr. Thompson was the CEO of a major insurance corporation that has shareholders. Their mission is to have their bottom line be acceptable for their shareholders. Does that mean they're going to have to make tough calls and tough decisions? Yeah. Does that mean some families and some people are not going to be happy? Yeah. But does that mean you get to go attack somebody down in the streets? I don't know. We're going to have to figure that part out, especially if this happens some more. Next sad story.